The best 4K mid-range monitor for your Mac? Let's talk about it. Welcome back. So I'm going to start this video off by saying I like BenQ monitors. From all my experiences, they have better uniform panels. I've had 0 dead pixels. Now you're going to pay a little bit more money, but I think you get a lot more. Now a little while back, I actually went ahead and I reviewed, it's called the PD3225U monitor, and that's a professional 32-inch 4K monitor. Now, that's a beautiful monitor. In fact, in the video, I think I said it was the best professional 4K monitor for your Mac, but there's one issue with it. It's around $1,000, and I'll show you some things here on Amazon. So obviously, that could be out of the range of a few people, and that's why we're kind of looking for a different option here. Now, I just don't do reviews of really expensive monitors either. I actually did the review of a 1080p screen. It's the BenQ GW2490, and you can pick it up for $89 right now. When I did that review, I think it was like around $119, and that's one of the best 1080p monitors you can buy if you're on an extreme budget and you're a Mac user. But like everyone out there, most people don't want 1080p anymore, so we're looking for something that can maybe slot in between these two. So when I heard BenQ just came out with a brand new 32-inch 4K monitor that slots right in between and's made specifically for Macs, I had to give it a shot. Okay, so here we go. Introducing the BenQ, this is the BenQ MA320U, which is a 4K 32-inch IPS panel made for a MacBook and basically a Mac Mini, right? Now, I'm not just saying it. Take a look at the box. It says it right on the box. In various places, it says, made for the Mac and Mac ready, all this kind of stuff right on the box when it ships to you. So I figured, I have to give this a go. This one's made specifically for exactly my channel, a Mac channel, so we're going to check it out. Oh, and one note too, if you like a little bit smaller screen or a cheaper screen, they actually make a model that's the MA220U. Now that's going to be a 27-inch monitor, basically in the same family as the one I'm going to be showing you today. But I'm going to be going after this huge 32-inch one because that's what I like. I like large screens, so we're going to see how good this thing is. Okay, for starters, the design. So when they designed the monitor, they wanted it to be actually looking very much like a Mac. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, they didn't even put their logo really on it where you can actually see it. On the front of it, it's black on black on the very front. You can barely see it there. That's number one. On the back of it, the only place you can see the actual logo, BenQ, is going to be at the top of the stand there. I'll show you some pictures of that. So overall, it's just very a Mac-like design, right? If you look at the front of it, it's got smaller bezels on the front. It's obviously just black and silver. If you take a look at the back, it's basically a silver. Now, it's a plastic design. It's not full metal or anything like that, but it's elegant is what I'm kind of getting at, right? There's no huge logo sticking out basically at you or no LED lights flashing. It's basically going to just be a black kind of small bezels on the front, silver stand, silver back, and overall, it matches your Mac device, and that's what they were going for. Now, the back silver color can actually change colors depending on the light that hits it and stuff, but I still think it looks elegant in all lighting situations. Now, if you've never used a BenQ monitor, one thing about their stands are they're so easy to install. It's just kind of refreshing. So basically the base of it down here, it screws into the stand, and I'll show you some pictures. It's just a little screw. It takes about 10 seconds to do that. And then once you have kind of the base and the stand ready, that actually snaps into the monitor, and I'll show you a picture of that as well. It covers up the VESA mount, but you can go ahead and just snap that right in, and it snaps right out. So it takes maybe 30 seconds or less to get this thing set up, which is kind of refreshing. Actually, on the bottom of there's a bottom panel down here, they actually do have like a rubber, it's like a little rubber pad down here, and they've developed that so you can actually slide in your MacBook on there without scratching it, or you can put some other things like little SSD drives on there if you want to have a backup or something. But it's just kind of a nice touch where you're not going to scratch your MacBook if you want to kind of butt it up against the actual monitor. Again, they're thinking about Mac users and how it's going to look and how clean it's going to be. Now, the stand you're going to be getting here is going to be better than the Mac Studio display because it's going to go ahead and tilt, swivel, go up and down, so it does all the different motions, and you can actually flip it around to portrait mode if you want to as well, like I said, and it's got the VESA mount in the back if you need that as well. So overall, it's got you covered. Now, the screen itself, let's talk about that because that's really important, obviously. It's a 32-inch 4K IPS panel, and just take a look at it. It's beautiful, right? Now, it comes with display HDR600 support, which means it's actually up to 600 nits of brightness on its max level. And let me just tell you, I'm going to go ahead and show you some pictures here of me sliding the brightness back and forth. It gets so bright it can blind you. A lot of these monitors don't get that bright. They're like 350 nits, 200 nits, somewhere in that range. Really, really not that, not that bright. Up to 600 on this one. So if you're in a situation where you'd like the brightness or you need to, you work kind of in a bright spot, this monitor might be perfect for you, and I think it's a huge selling point. A few more stats on the screen. It's 1300 to 1 contrast ratio. It's also 5 millisecond response time, 60 hertz, and it has a 99% sRGB and a 97% DCI-P3 color gamut. So overall, very, very accurate, and they pop like anything, and I'm going to show you some examples of that in a couple seconds. Let's keep going. On the back of it too, you get a whole bunch of cool ports here. You get 2 HDMI ports, you get 2 USB-C. One's going to be 90-watt pass-through charging. It even charges your MacBook when the monitor's off. You can set it up that way. Then the other one's 15-watt charging. Then you got 2 USB-A ports as well. That's going to they're saying you can put in things like hard drives in there, and kind of works as a hub almost, right? That's actually really cool. So overall, it's got a whole bunch of different ports in there for you, and you can't complain about the connectivity. And then inside the box, they give you a power cord, and there's no power brick, so the power supply must be inside the monitor. They give you a USB-C cable to USB-C. Obviously, that's how you connect to your MacBook. They give you an HDMI cable, which is really nice. They give you a bracket for cable management, and I'll show you some pictures as I'm talking about all this stuff. And then finally, they give you the kind of patented purple directions that come with almost all BenQ monitors. You can see right here, and you can go ahead and easily get this set up. Like I said, the stand takes literally 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and you're all ready to go. The monitor has 2 3-watt speakers on it on the bottom, and I'll show you some pictures of that. Obviously, like I always say with these things, you probably want to go with external speakers if you want the best sound, but it's there in a crunch. And then it has a Kingston lock on the back as well to help it keep protected if someone's going to steal it, although I don't use those, but it's there if you need it. And then finally, in the bottom of the monitor down here, you do get a headphone jack down there. That's actually really nice. And then there's 2 kind of little buttons there. One turns it on and off, and the other one's for the settings. But there's some really cool things about the settings I'm going to show you in a couple seconds here, so stay tuned for that, which make this really unique. All right, but the major selling point for this monitor and Mac people are this thing was made for Mac users. It's got something called MBook mode, which basically means MacBook mode, and it's on when you actually install the monitor the first time. As soon as you plug it in, it's in that mode, and it matches your screen exactly. The colors are almost flawless. I mean, I'll show you some examples here. They may not even show up correctly because of the fact that the brightness might be off and my camera might be off. But overall, I took a step back. I looked at a whole bunch of different videos and pictures and stuff, and it matches my MacBook perfectly, and it's really pleasing on the eyes. So they nailed it here for sure. I mean, if you just want to, other monitors are so hard to get the settings right, and you have to fool around, and it's too bright, too dark, the contrast is wrong. Here, it's just perfect right out of the box, and it matches your MacBook, so it's very pleasing if you like Macs. Like I said, they nailed that one for sure. And then also the compatibility. Like a lot of monitors are incompatible with Macs for some reason or another. This one was made for it, so you just plug the USB-C cable into your Mac and then plug it into the monitor. It charges charges the Mac for you, and it works flawlessly. It works every single time. I've never had a problem with BenQ. That's one thing, like I say, you maybe pay a little bit more for some of their monitors. You get a better screen, you get a better panel for sure, but you also get a lot of these compatibility things out they're not even an issue anymore because they just work. And then another kicker for why this thing is so good for Mac people is because of something they actually call here Display Pilot 2. And what it means basically is you can actually control all the settings on here directly from your MacBook. So let me talk about this for a second. So here is Display Pilot 2. So I actually installed it already. You can install it. I'll show you the website really quickly, but you can just download it from the web. All right, so once I got Display Pilot 2 installed, it's going to have a little icon up here. You can see it. I'm going to click on that. And look at this. Now, the reason I love this so much is because once you get this installed, you can control your monitor directly from your either MacBook or your Mac Mini. And it just works just like a studio display, actually, but even better. It's got even more settings. So in here, you can see once this is installed, I can change the audio. I can actually change the brightness of this monitor right here. And this is going to be on my big monitor, the one I'm obviously reviewing, or even my MacBook down here, which is going to be, what's connected to it. So pretty amazing there. Then it gives you the resolutions of both the monitor and then my MacBook, and I can actually change these in real time as well. It's also got other things built in, like I can change blue light mode, HDR, color weakness, auto pivot, the input type, and all that stuff. And even beyond this, if you go up here, let me just go here, you can go in here and you can change preferences. You can add whatever you want over to this menu down here. You can see the menu change as I kind of flip on and off these things. And then it's got a whole bunch of advanced stuff too in here, which is crazy. Resolution, notice, display mode. I mean, you can put all this stuff on. You can pause it here if you want to take a look at it, but it just has so many different settings built into it. And it's called Display Pilot number 2. And on top of it, once you get all this installed, you can actually control then the brightness from the keyboard of my MacBook Air as well, just like a studio display. So third-party monitors usually don't have that. But this one right up here, if you just get this little software installed, it works flawlessly. It took me less than 1 minute to install. So now we're going to talk about the most important thing. Is this a good monitor visually, right? Does it look good? Is the text sharp on it? Is it bright enough? All those kind of things combined. BenQ, like I said, they make a whole bunch of different tiers of monitors. Some of them are, a little bit more expensive. Some are cheaper. This one slots right in that middle area. And that's what we're going to find out. So I want to talk about like how impressed was I by all the colors, the text sharpness, and everything else like that on this monitor. And then we're going to get into the pricing right after it. Okay, so for starters, let's just start with the brightness. And again, I'll talk about it one last time, but it's going to be bright enough for just about everyone at 600 nits. It's brighter than you're going to think, so you're going to be surprised by the brightness. That's number one. All right, the sharpness on this is excellent. I mean, even when you're reading text and stuff. Now, I know there's an issue with converting 4K with Macs and stuff like that, and you're going to get some issues with all monitors, right? This one tends to be one of the sharpest I've tested. I've tested a whole bunch of different monitors. This is the same sharpness roughly as that $1,000 monitor, in my opinion. I really like the way it works, but I mean, just the colors in this thing too pop so well. I mean, the colors, the brightness, all that combined with the sharpness of the text, sharpness with the images. I was watching YouTube, looking at photos, just kind of testing what are my eyes telling me? Does this look like a really good monitor? Now, I test a lot of 4K monitors, and you do get some of that fuzziness in text, right, with 4K monitors because of the conversion. But with this one, I'm telling you, it's as close as you can get probably to those 5K monitors without spending all that money. I mean, just take a look at the screen here. I'm going to show you some pictures of it and kind of displaying some of these animals and some other pictures and landscapes and stuff. It's just beautiful. I mean, obviously you're going to ask, well, is this the same quality as like the studio display? Well, again, I'm going to get into the price in a second, but we're probably spending, only like a little bit more than a third of the studio display's cost. And we're getting probably 80-90% of what the studio display has to offer, especially with the settings, the Mac Ready mode, the colors and stuff like that. Like I said, the sharpness may not be exactly on par with the 5K monitor, but it's one of the closest I've ever seen here. So really good. BenQ, I think, nailed it here, but look at the colors. They just pop. Brightness is perfect. So overall, I think it's a great panel. So now we're going to go over the price. And the question is this, with the price, the best value of a monitor for Mac users? And I really do think it is. So what is the price? Let's take a look at my screen. So here we go. This is B&H. It's $599 right now. You can see it's the BenQ MA320U 32-inch right here. So not, a little bit under $600, $599. Not a bad price. Again, this slots in the middle. It's not going to be the cheapest 4K monitor you can buy, like I said, but I think this is a really fair price for what you get. Same thing over here at Adorama. It's basically $599 as well. One peculiar thing is on Amazon right now, I don't know why. I think it's because there's limited quantity of this. They actually just came out. It's $673.59 there. So on Amazon, it's a little bit more expensive. I expect this to go down to $599 soon because that's what they're saying that like the retail cost is. So, and they might have some sales and stuff. I know they have limited stock right now because it just came out, literally just came out. I think it came on Amazon like a day ago. So I have a feeling that price could adjust. And then also, like if you wanted that 27-inch, here it is over here at B&H as well. So the 27-inch version of this is only $459.99, but there's some differences on the, some of the differences in the settings and stuff, not the settings, but the actual, I think it's, got a little bit less color accuracy and stuff like that. So you can check out the stats on that if you want the smaller version. Obviously, it's 27 versus 32. That's going to be the main differences. Okay, so for $599, you're getting a 32-inch 4K IPS panel, 600 nits of brightness, Mac color ready, and can you go wrong there? I mean, the studio display, what is around $1,600? So it's not exactly a third, but it's getting close to a third. So you got to look at the value of the product. And a lot of people come back and say, well, the 60 hertz and stuff like that is a killer. Well, some people that's a huge issue for. For me and for a lot of other people, I mean, the studio display has 60 hertz as well. So it's not really a game changer for my work. I do video editing and stuff like that, and it works perfect for me. So you have to obviously slot this into, who's it right for. But it is in that middle tier. I think it's a really, really fair price. And like I said, look for some sales and stuff. You never know. I mean, obviously, when I make this, the price is now, and it could change later. But I'll have links to all the stuff in the descriptions if you guys want to check them out. Now, I tend to do product showcases only, not reviews, but in this case, I kind of changed my tune because I think they actually nailed it on this product. Now, do I wish it was $499 maybe instead of $599? Maybe, but I still think it's a very fair price. And I think for all the features, and when you actually are just a Mac user, I mean, of course, this will work for Windows PCs as well, but all the different things they built to make it act and work like a Mac product, I think is actually, well worth that little bit extra cost there, especially when you look at the quality of the panel. I mean, obviously do your own research. You can look up the BenQ MA320U, but just think about this. If you actually take this, buy this monitor, and then the new M4 Mac Mini coming out, you pair it with that. This is about $600, let's say. That's going to be about $600 with the M4 probably 16 gigs base RAM. You add these two together for $1,200. I think that's actually going to be almost a better option than the 24-inch iMac, because that's 24 inches and you get, obviously I don't know what they're going to come out with because it hasn't come out yet. It will probably, when you watch this video, it's probably going to be out by now. But anyways, you get the idea. Whatever that comes out with, it's still, this might be a better value when you pair this with the Mac Mini than, obviously if you just buy the iMac. But overall, I think it works great with like these, MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros. This is just a great option for like an external screen that you're not breaking the bank, obviously, and you're not spending, having to refinance the house for it, but it's still high enough quality to do video editing on and everything else in between. All right, like I always say, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. And this is just kind of my, usually a showcase, but more of a product review this time. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.